Nola Gent here in Lynchburg, Tennessee at the Jack Daniels Distillery Tour. Whiskey!
Welcome to Nola Gent. Let the good times roll. The Jack Daniels Distillery Tour is in Lynchburg, Tennessee, and it's probably the largest single thing in the area. The town square of Lynchburg is located a short walk from the Distillery Tour area, across a bridge that takes you across a nice river, and we will visit that area in the next video. Look for the link at the end of this video to look at the tour of downtown Lynchburg. But for now, we're walking back to the nice Distillery Tour area. So it's a very beautiful location. They have a lot of parking at the distillery directly in front of it, and a reserve lot for overflow parking across the street. And then you can also park for free in the town square and walk over on the path that we will explore in the next video on Lynchburg itself. It is COVID-19 times. There's still social distancing requirements. But as you look around, this is a beautiful area, and they have a horseshoe-shaped building for the main welcome center and tourist area to register for anything that they offer, along with offering a bottle shop to purchase their whiskey selections, and a little museum inside that contains most of the area that you will start out in, at least. They also have a restaurant that's currently only open for lunch, and I got here too late to explore that as it was already closed. Well, let's go and head inside and check it out. So we have to also get our temperature taken here. They have some kind of remote scanning technology that they're using so they don't have to approach us, and it seems I passed. So this first area you enter into contains most of the museum information. So you can see they have some little small exhibits all around and a statue of Jack Daniels himself right there. And we're going to be learning a lot more about Jack Daniels today as we go through this tour here. This portion of the tour is self-guided, and there's a lot of information and data to be found in here all throughout that you get to read about and learn on your own. There's also paid tours, but you can learn a lot right here. Now, I'm not going to read all this to you. You can pause and read it yourself as you go through. But you might want to come visit here. But if you're never going to visit here, take a little moment to pause the video and read these little information cards. So the museum continues with more interesting information and things that might pique your curiosity that you never thought of that you even needed to know. So you can learn possibly about Jack Daniel's birthday if you want to read this, and then you can learn more about why Jack Daniels is called Old Number 7 right here if you want to read about it here in this area. And as the tour continues, if you go through and read all of this information, you will have a lot of knowledge you never knew that you even needed to know. So it's a good, interesting tour that you learn a lot on. And then you can go over here to purchase a ticket for the various tours. And this visit today is the first time that they have reopened the sampling. So they, in normal times, have multiple choices of sampling tours you can do. For this initial reopening, they only have one of the options available, and you don't get to tour the distillery. So the only one they had available for me to go on was the Angel Share Tour, which is the most expensive one at $30. While I was waiting for my tour, this gentleman right here was also giving very useful information on the various Jack Daniels beverages they have available here. Alright, the tour is beginning. So we're gathering up in this room, and we're going to watch an informational video in here. So we're going to see what happens with that and then continue on. So that was a quick informational historical video. It's decent. Next up, we get led out to get our picture taken next to the whiskey truck. And then we're led down to this warehouse, between the warehouse and the hill there. And the tour really kicks off.
Look up there in that wide open spot right there. You can see a tin building up there. That's a barrel house, 7 stories high. We got 92 barrel houses scattered all around.
Oh, you see it?
Yeah, right there. Got too many leaves on the trees right now. So, like I say, we're sitting on about 3,600 acres. Got 92 barrel houses scattered around. Each one of the barrel houses That right there holds a little bit over 20,000 barrels. We got right at over 1 million barrels in storage. So all the whiskey for the whole world for Jack Daniels comes from right here, not anywhere else. Now Jack Daniels himself, when he was a small lad, his mother passed away. His father remarried shortly after that. Jack did not get along with his new stepmother. So around the age of 8 to 10 years old, Jack started hanging out the Dan Call family farm, which wasn't too far from where Jack's family lived. And the Dan Call is a very interesting fella. He wore several hats. For one, he was Reverend Dan Call Luther Mister. 2, he had a general store he run next to his farm during the week. 3, he had a still on that farm where he made whiskey and sold in his general store. So Jack started helping Reverend Dan Call at the general store, then later on struck an interest in making whiskey. Now the period of time we're talking right here is just prior to the Civil War. So Dan Call had an enslaved gentleman, Nathan Green, better known as Nearest. We're going to call him Nearest. The Nearest took Jack underneath his wing and taught Jack how to make whiskey. They got pretty good at making whiskey. Quite a few years passed. They got real good at making whiskey. Started making that church a little nervous about a preacher man preaching on Sunday and making whiskey and selling it during the week. So they told Reverend Dan Call to quit preaching and quit making whiskey. So Reverend Dan Call decided to keep on preaching and sold his still to Jack for about $25, $30 when Jack was anywhere from 15 to 18 years old. Now this is right after the Civil War. Jack hired Nearest to be his head distiller. So Jack and Nearest started making whiskey of their own about 5 miles south there up around Louse Creek. Quite a few years passed, Jack decided he needed to expand his business. He'd heard of his place. He'd come up for rent. Jack moved his still to the holler. Jack made whiskey here for quite a few years before he got a chance to buy it. It finally come up for public auction. Jack's the highest bidder of this piece of property. He bought this piece of land, I've been told, about 140 acres, about $1,500. We've grown a little bit since then. Like I said, we're up to about 3,600 acres now. Now Jack himself passed away in 1911. Not sure of his age because on his mother's tombstone, it says that she passed away in 1947. And on his monument, it says he was born in 1850. So 1847 versus 1850, we don't really know exact age. So he was anywhere from 61, could be as long as 66 years old. You know, Jack was a ladies' man. He might have stretched his age a little bit during that time. So.
Then the tour continued and we walked around to the other side of the warehouse. And the other side was actually the front of the building, and this is a barrel house and one of the oldest warehouses they have for the whiskey barrels. So we got a little more history about this location before heading inside.
Do any wine companies or other companies buy the barrels to reuse? Like
Yeah. In fact, most of our barrels go to Scotland for Scotch.
Gotcha.
All that Scotch has little Jack Daniels in it.
Oh yeah.
They usually brag about using our barrels when you go over and take a tour.
Drinking like that.
You're smelling what's called angel share.
All right, it's time for the tasting portion.
Okay.
Have a seat. Young man, if you will sit right there by yourself.
Sure.
Since you're by yourself.
Woohoo! Well, I'm definitely not in New Orleans anymore. These are extremely microscopically tiny pours, and for $30 I expect a lot more whiskey in my glass than this. So we got into the tasting process and a review of the 5 whiskeys that we will be tasting today. So let's get the whiskey drinking started. Starting out, washing and rinsing out with a little water.
Sweet smoky nose. Now, just let that glide across your tongue nice and slow. Don't rush it. So glide across your tongue. Nice and slow. Don't rush it. Nice and slow. The first thing you should notice, you get a full flavor medium tone, it's a vacuum tone, it slowly disappears, goes nice and smooth. That's what that twice charcoal mellow does, takes the finish on the vacuum tone. After you drink it, a lot of people notice a very light, faint maple finish to your palate. Okay? Now that is 80 proof, we're starting out at 80 proof on that, 80 proof. Okay?
So the first whiskey was the Jack Daniels number 27 Gold. The process was matured in white oak barrels and finished in unique maple barrels. The aroma is rich, warm, maple, toasted oak, honey, and fruit. Taste, complex, creamy, vanilla, chocolate, maple, and hints of spice. Finish, silky, smooth, and slight sweetness. It's a nice, good, smooth whiskey. I like this one.
Toasted oak, you know, there, just a little bit. Now there you let that glide across your tongue nice and slow. Don't rush it. So glide across your tongue nice and slow. Nice and slow. So the first thing you should know is a full flavor across your tongue. It goes down smooth. And that is 90 proof. 90 proof. Slowly picking up as we go. Rye whiskey, I guess 2 years or so.
The second whiskey was the Jack Daniels Sinatra Select. Process is charcoal mellowed through 10 feet of sugar maple, then matured in new white oak barrels that we handcraft, toast, and char ourselves. Unique to the Sinatra brands, we deep groove the inside of the staves to expose the whiskey to extra layers of oak. Aroma, oaky with a pleasant smokiness and subtle sweetness. Taste, bold character with layers of toasted oak, slight smokiness, spicy and oaky flavor. The finish is bold, smoky, smooth notes of vanilla and caramel. Very good, I like it.
94 proof. Take glide across your tongue nice and slow. Full flavor across your tongue, break them out. Nice little creamy finish down your throat. A lot of ladies like this too. They like the finish. Like I said, it is 94 proof. So of course, the trick is when you buy a single barrel whiskey at a local liquor store.
The third tasting is a Jack Daniel Single Barrel Select. The process is charcoal mellowed through 10 feet of sugar maple, matured and toasted and charred new white American oak barrels that we handcraft ourselves and store in the uppermost warehouse locations. The aroma, robust and complex with caramel, oak, and subtle fruit. The taste is rich toasted oak and complex barrel spices. The finish is warm and lingering. This one is quite good. I like this one quite a great deal. Very nice.
Otherwise, a little bit different. Let that glide across your tongue nice slow. Do not rush this whiskey, nice and slow. Respect this whiskey. Full, robust flavor across your tongue, break your mouth, side and mouth. Smooth down your throat. If you notice it keeps some down to your toes, just keep something going. Yeah. This is a whiskey you most definitely got to drink in a nice rocks glass ice. Also, eat your chair and stay there. Start to get up, go somewhere you realize you're already there.
This fourth whiskey is the Jack Daniel Single Barrel Proof. Process charcoal mellowed through 10 feet of sugar maple. Aroma, bold depth with vanilla, caramel, barrel spice, and subtle fruit cues. Taste, surprisingly smooth with notes of brown sugar that give way to rich toasted oak and smoke with warm baking spices. Finish, complex with layers of vanilla, tobacco, and a touch of smoke that is incredibly long and satisfying. This whiskey is amazingly fantastic. By far, this is the winner of everything I've had so far.
So, ready to go. Spice note, you know, let that glider crusher come nice and slow, cheers. Nice and slow crusher come. Full flavor crusher come, drink your mouth, very smooth down your throat. If you drink it, a lot of people know it's very light, faint, pepperish finish to your palate. You drink that, very light.
What's the proof on that?
94 proof.
So the fifth and final sampling whiskey is the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Rye. Process, our first new mash recipe since 1866. Matured in new white oak barrels. Aroma, banana and apricot, balanced with toasted oak and soft spice. Taste, ripe fruit mingled with rich oak and balanced with black pepper and hints of mint. Finish, rye spice gives way to complex notes of toasted oak, caramel, honey, and lingering soft pepper. It's drinkable, it's okay. Probably my least favorite out of all of them. By far, the fourth one, the Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof, was the winner to me. Well, it's nearly 5 o'clock and everything's going to be closing down here shortly, so we have just enough time to run inside to finish touring the rest of the inside. So we'll walk through the last of these barrels of whiskey in this warehouse. This was an interesting place to check out. And as we leave victorious from our tasting of the Angel Share experience, we will go and look in the bottle shop. So right here they'll do engraving for any bottle that you get. You can get a custom engraved message on there. And then in their liquor store here, they have quite an impressive selection of Jack Daniel's whiskeys you don't find in your normal store. So they have a great selection of some of their finest whiskeys here that you just don't generally see in most stores around unless you special order them. So all of the super premium whiskeys that we sampled during the Angel Share experience, they do have those available here. And they also have some different specials running on different items. And then they also offer some of these super premium whiskeys in different sizes. And then they have even other premium whiskeys that we were not able to sample during our tour, and I think we should have been able to. And you know, this is quite a well put together liquor shop, and they have lots of wonderful things here. You really just want to drink and sample a little bit of all of it while you're here. Fortunately, you can't do that here. Some of them you just have to buy to taste test when you get somewhere else. The great thing about the sampling and the Angel Share tasting experience is at least you know which of these you're going to like the best when you get out of that experience. They also have signs throughout the store that list the sizes and prices of the specific whiskey, so you can decide on the size and price range of the whiskey that you would like to purchase. So that makes things pretty convenient, so you don't have to go searching all over for anything else. That's right there in front of you. And then they also have specials listed, so they have certain things that will include such specials, such as engraving will be included, or if you buy one of these more expensive bottles, they'll give you a deal on a cheaper bottle for some of their other less special whiskeys. And then they just have a very interesting selection of whiskeys I've never even heard of before. So Jack Daniel's makes different things and unique barrel blends and different ways of making whiskeys with names I've never heard of before. So it's definitely a really fascinating place to be for anybody that loves whiskey. So definitely you need to check out in detail everything they offer here, because there could possibly be something you've never heard of before. And they sell it in smaller bottles often, so you can taste it. Make sure you look for all of their specials that they have posted. Now I'm walking out the back door of the liquor store, which is the front of the building, and I'm continuing on to the Lynchburg Town Square. Meet me there by clicking on the link at the end of this video, and I'll see you there.
Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. And if you would just click on the little circle here with a picture of my head in there and subscribe to the NOLA Jet channel, it would really help me a lot. I really appreciate it. Thank you.